Hi everyone, my name is Tanichi from Quantity Surveying course. Today I'm going to present technology and privacy practice issue. So what is meant by privacy practice? Privacy practice is the procedural safeguard to implement and comply with to protect the privacy data. Nowadays, the case of the privacy leaks has increased. This is inseparable from the development of technology, because the people now can use various means to steal the private and confidential data. Privacy practice is very important in a business because it can affect the business performance. First, if the company didn't provide enough privacy space for its employee, it may reduce its productivity. This is because the constant interruption and background noise can seriously disturb the employee ability to doing their job. Secondly, the privacy can play a leading role in a brand's business ethic. This is because the disclosure of the confidential information like password, customer personal information can cause the customer or employee to lose confidence in the company, and also it could cost the company a lot in compensation. And lastly, privacy matters to the business growth and brands. Once the trade secrets of the company are leaked, the competitors can take advantage from them. Now let's look into the ethical theory that applicable for the technology and privacy practice issue. The first ethical theory is meta-ethic cognitivism. This theory holds that the moral belief can be true or false, while divulged private data is considered unethical. This statement can be supported by the laws in Malaysia, which is Personal Data Protection Act 2010. If any individual or company breach this act, they can be fined of 100,000 to 500,000 and or 1 to 3 years jail. Let's take an example. The parent company of Facebook, Meta, being fined 70 million euros because of historical data breach. At that time, there are 30,000 Facebook users were affected by the security breach in question. So by supporting by these rules and regulation, we can see that divulge of private data is unethical. The second ethical theory is deontology first version. This theory will first consider what action is right and go from there, rather than consider what will maximize the production of a good outcome. Several laws applies all over the world is enough to show that protecting an individual's privacy is an universal law. So the company has the duty to protect the privacy of any one method, such as the customer, employee, investor, or partner, even though this action may produce a bad result. For example, a hospital is not allowed to disclose the patient's personal information without their consent, even if this action may save the patient's life. The third ethical theory is ethics of rights and justice. This theory is divided into right and justice. So now let's look into the right first. There are two types of rights that we are going to discuss. The first one is employee rights. In the workplace, the employee have the right to own a privacy and isolated space. For example, a locker, a desk, or a private drawer. So the employer cannot unreasonable search in this place. Second, the employee have the rights to refusing to disclose their private facts in public. The employee can claim for privacy violation when the employer discloses their privacy or embarrassing facts to public without permission. Third, the employee have the right of portrait. The employee can claim for misappropriate when their employer use their photo or name without their consent. The second type of right is consumer rights. The consumer have the right to be informed. For example, the consumer have to be informed what kind of privacy data that will be taken and how the company will intend to their privacy data. Also, the consumer have the right to choose. For example, the consumer can choose what kind of privacy data they are willing to give to the company. And lastly, the consumer have the right to safety. The company must make sure the privacy of the consumer is protected, because if the personal information of the consumer is misused or improperly protected, it can lead to identity theft. So this can put the consumer in danger. So now let's look into distributive justice. This theory describes how people judge what they are given. In a company, every employee should have been provided by the same level of material goods and services. As a result, the employer should meet the needs of the employees at a fair degree. For example, every employee needs plenty of privacy at work, right? So the employer should provide each employee with their own private space, such as their own seats or locker. The next theory is advertising theory, which is a standard of moral communication between the enterprise and the target audience. And the social effect is one of the positions of advertising theory. Let's take the targeted advertising as example. This kind of advertisement will collect and analyze the user's online activity. The personal data might be revealed. The data will include gender, religion, age, or political beliefs. Coupled with the rules around the collection and use of the personal data are unclear, so this would definitely raise the privacy concern. The targeted advertising have the risk of privacy violation, and this kind of risk may cause social effect. First, this kind of advertisements created the threats to those who use the internet. Also, the crime is likely to increase because it adds another way for the malicious people to steal the personal data for their profit. These kinds of risks will increase the opportunity for crime and also will cause the people lose confidence in internet. So that's where the social effect comes in. The last ethical theory is duty to comply under the contractual theory. Before that, the first thing we need to know is the relationship between the firm and consumer is contractual relationship. The most basic obligation of the firms is to provide the consumer with the product or services that meets the firm's explicit requirements, which can lead the consumer enter into the contract freely. As I said, the relationship between the firms and customer is like a contractual relationship. So the business firm should comply with the regulations that can meet the requirements and quality under the contract. And protecting the privacy of the consumer is the key to achieve the quality they expect. A company should provide the reliable products or services for the consumer. For example, the bank should function like what the customer expects without providing anyone's private information such as the account password or credit card number or account balance. In addition, a business should also ensure their products and services are safe. If a company cannot ensure that their products is safe, that means they are not complying the rules in the contract. This is because if the consumer privacy information leaks to the third party, it is likely to endanger the customer's financial and even their life. So to show the company is complying the rules and regulation in the contract, they should at least provide reliable and safe products and services for their customer. So now let's go to the recommendation that can solve the technology and privacy practice issues. The first recommendation to solve this issue is to implement the privacy policy. This kind of policy can detect how the business will handle their customers' privacy information. The company shall set a set of regulations in terms of data privacy, including data collection, data breach, data access, data storage, and also the data privacy training. With this kind of policy, the private data could be more secure and the risk of privacy leaks can be decreased. Also, this policy can ensure the customer understand what information will be collected and what the business intends to do with their personal information. So in this way, the customer base is more likely to trust the business. The second recommendation is employee training. As the technology is constantly evolved, so it is important to keep the employee up to date to the current trends and the data security practice. The management should raise the awareness of the importance of the data security among the employee by providing them a frequent training. The training can be provided annually, whether by presentation or online training, so that the employee can pay attention to the current data security and learn from the mistakes from other companies. The third recommendation is email security. Because email is the primary form of communication for the business, so it becomes the hacker's favorite tool. The hackers will use various methods to steal the personal information, so it is important to make it a habit to check the email address every time. If the email address looks unusual or got incorrect letters or numbers, this email may probably sent by the hackers. Also, the user should avoid clicking on the links from the strangers because the hacker can use the links to hack into the computer. And lastly, the company is strongly advised to encrypt their email. In this way, the unauthorized users will be barred to view the content of the email. The fourth recommendation to avoid the problem of technology and privacy practice is to invest technology or software. As the cyber thief is an expert in spotting the weakness of the computer system, so the companies is advised to invest enough technology and software to protect their private data. And the software recommended is firewall and zero trust architecture. Finally, the company can also hire the third party to audit the business to avoid the privacy practice issue. The third party is responsible to publish the audit result annually so that the continuous improvement in security can be improved based on the audit result. Also, hiring the third party can build trust with customer. This is because the customer know that the company has invested the proper method to protect their privacy data. That's all for my presentation about the technology and privacy practice issue. Thank you.